I'd like to call the meeting to order and wish everyone a good evening. And a call to order.
At 6:31.
And roll call, please, Sancy.
Yes. Robin Barker.
Here?
Cheryl Bigelow is absent tonight. Judy Borey.
Here.
Barbara Fitzgerald.
Here.
Catherine Meek.
Here.
Nola Perkins.
Here.
And Vera Walters.
Here.
We have a quorum.
And can I get a motion to accept the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Who made the second?
Robin, I think you made a second. Catherine
No, I
did. Okay.
Okay, roll call.
And roll call, please.
Robin Barker.
Yes.
Cheryl Bigelow is absent. Judy Borey.
Here. Yes. Sorry.
Barbara Fitzgerald.
Yes.
Catherine Meek.
Yes.
Nola Perkins.
Yes.
Vera Walters.
Yes.
Motion passes.
And I'd like to have the acceptance of the minutes for the January 9th, 2025 regular meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Who made the second? I'm sorry.
Catherine.
Oh, Catherine. Okay. Roll call. Robin Barker.
Yes.
Cheryl Bigelow is absent. Judy Borey.
Yes.
Barbara Fitzgerald.
Yes.
Catherine Meek.
Yes.
Nola Perkins.
Yes.
Vera Walters.
Yes.
And motion passes.
And call to the public. Do you want to speak?
No.
Okay.
Does the public wish to speak? Okay.
Okay, so we have no speakers tonight, so correspondence and communications, Pam.
We normally don't have correspondence and communications, but it says the board may wish to acknowledge the presence of an individual in the audience. So since this is the first time, I think we should acknowledge we have an individual in the audience.
Welcome.
Welcome.
I think he needs to
Just
come
come
up
up
and
and introduce.
introduce himself and tell us all about himself.
I don't think he was prepared for that. He's a member of CLI, and it's, I believe, an assignment of theirs to go to some commission and boards to.
Wonderful.
I was suspecting that.
Welcome, welcome.
Yeah.
This isn't as much excitement as the city council,
No.
though.
No.
We're tame. We're
Yeah.
very, very tame.
Yes, you should definitely go to a council meeting, definitely. So I believe that's the end of our correspondence and communications.
Okay, thank you, Pam. And librarian's report,
Yes.
Pam.
Thanks. Pam Harrison, Library Director. For a librarian's report tonight, we start as normal with our, statistics for January and February. January was up from December, which is normal. We did dip a little bit in terms of circulation and patron visits in February, but not a huge amount. What's really stood out to me was our programming stats. If you looked at both January and February, the amount of off-site program attendance versus on-site, they're getting very close. Pretty soon, our outreach is going to surpass our on-site. So I just thought that was kind of interesting. One of our biggest programs that we had over January and February and into a little bit of March was our winter lecture series, where we do 8 programs, all related to normally something to do with the state of Arizona. We had 594 attendees total for these 8 programs. The most popular one being Amelia Earhart. And the speaker for that is actually the second cousin of Amelia Earhart. And she apparently dresses up as Amelia Earhart and does some interactive storytelling, and heard a lot of great things about her. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see it, but a lot of people did. I believe there was close to 150 people at that one. And some other ones that were popular were the presentations about Jerome. And there was also one about immigration. I think it was historical look into immigration for the state.
Pam, do you videotape those and so that we could, people can see them?
We do not. I want to say that it might be We get these through the Arizona Humanities. It's a grant-funded program. Have a feeling that there might be a stipulation in there that they not be recorded for future use. Yeah, I can look into that for you, though, but I think I recall that being the case.
Because that's too bad, because, people, could maybe either check it out or on a
Right,
disc or something.
right.
Or
Because these speakers, they're vetted, they're highly qualified, at least the majority of them, and I don't know, maybe it's part of their contract with Arizona Humanities that they don't want people to be able to see their presentation without actually attending in person.
Oh,
But I could look into that for you for
I
sure.
wouldn't think so, because they're getting paid
Right.
to do that, and that would make it free for everybody. And they have to, sustain themselves. They don't get a lot of grants. the
Right.
humanities.
I'm going to look into it, though, to give you a definitive answer.
okay, thanks.
Uh-huh. This looks familiar to a couple of you. Here's the volunteer appreciation lunch that we had just a couple weeks back. Thanks to those of you that were able to make it that day. It was on a Tuesday, late morning into afternoon, where we do this every year to give thanks and appreciation to our volunteers, including you, all of you for volunteering to be on the library board. So we had a nice lunch, decadent desserts, and then we did have some representation from the city manager's department. They always like to come and give their thanks because you're such an integral part to the city's operations, not just in the library, but with all departments. So we had our assistant city manager, Matt Busby, there, Jorge Gutierrez, who is our digital media specialist, and Trina Harrison, who is our CIP program manager. So they were happy to be there. And then there was a fun activity afterwards, because we always want to keep you guys entertained. And it was a book planner. And did you get to make one, Nola?
I did not.
You did not? Okay. Did you make one?
I had done it before.
You had done it at one of our
I have
programs.
one.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But it was like a planner where you can put all different pages in it about writing down things that you've read over the year, thoughts about them, questions. I think there was also some fun pages in there. So just something different to do. It was well received at the program that we did a few months back.
It was well organized, and I looked at, but I had another appointment, and so I couldn't stay
Oh, okay.
and do it, but it was very interesting.
Well, good. Thank you. We had a program March 1st, a first-time program of this type. It's a Native American-style flute festival. You've probably seen it in our programming stats over the last couple years that we've had a flute club and flute workshops. It's really grown, and I had no idea that this is like a huge thing across not only Arizona, but a lot of the Southwest, probably all over the nation. As you can see from the pictures, they had a lot of different performers come out, a lot of vendors there selling things that were related to Native American flutes. So it says the Native American style flute music performed by 13 renowned Southwestern flute players, as well as an open mic for anyone to share their flute talent. So it was like an all-day event. It started like 9:30, went to 4. There were demonstrations and presentations on topics such as multi-chambered flutes, a variety of traditional flutes, drums, and meditation through Reiki-infused sound healing. Very fancy. So, impossible to get an totally accurate count on a program like this, and also because it was on the north lawn. A lot of people went directly to the lawn and then went into the library through the back door, which they don't get counted that way. But the average, they think about 1,000 to 1,200 people came to this event. So
Did the library organize this event?
we did. When we have a couple volunteers that do our flute club and flute workshops that are weekly at the library. They, 2 volunteers from that, they kind of coordinated the whole thing with Penny, our youth supervisor, and yeah, they made it all happen. And I guess, they are already working on next year.
That's neat.
They had a meeting yesterday. I'm
And-
like, nothing like a head start.
And it was
So,
a
yeah, I
really-
guess, I'm really interested in learning about, more about it. It's a beautiful instrument. They were actually having the workshop right outside my door when I was leaving tonight. You can hear the flute music. It's really pretty.
I was there early, just as it was getting started, and there were a number of people coming in who had never been in the library before. That was exciting to see
Yeah,
that
it's
it
very-
was bringing people to come to the library.
I understand that they did a lot of press releases across the state and in the Native American style flute community. However, they get their information, Facebook pages and so forth, and it was in some newspapers, so yeah,
great.
really cool event.
Did they actually use the flutes that are in this picture, or is this just a display?
I believe they used them, at least some of them. But the performers that came, they all have their own flutes. This might just be one person's flute collection. But yeah, I mean, they all look different, sound different.
They're
They all have
beautiful.
their own
Yeah,
story.
They're beautiful.
Yeah, they are gorgeous. So yeah, really, we were lucky. I had a great day for it. Really nice day outside. So look for that again coming next year. If you want to come to the flute club or flute workshops and check it out, we do have flutes you can check out, so you can bring them home and try it and see if you like it. We have a couple people on staff that even participate. So really cool event. And here is the Blue Healer Bash. This was back in January. This was a partnered program with our Parks and Rec department. We had to change the name from what the character really is named to Blue Healer Bash because of copyright considerations. So we're calling it Blue Healer Bash here for you. But I think most of you know probably who this is. This is Bluey, Bluey the Blue Healer. This event attracted about 500 people. It was in the dog park. So we had our mobile library there. There were games, crafts, and giveaways. The first 200 people that came got free hot dogs provided by Cabot's Ace Hardware. And they even had pup cups for your dogs. Did you bring your dog, Robin?
No,
No.
I couldn't.
Couldn't come to that one. Yes, and of course Bluey and, help me, Anthony, what's Bluey's sister's name? Couldn't tell you. I know it too. He shelves these all the time, so I thought maybe, he caught up. I think it's his sister. Maybe it's his girlfriend. I
My
don't know.
granddaughter could tell you.
We need to do some Bluey research. So I know it's a cute name, but very fun event, and thanks to Parks for partnering with us on that one. And then this is our upcoming event on the 22nd, so that's just a week away from Saturday, LibraryCon Chapter 12. I didn't get to ask Stephanie why it's called Chapter 12, but I think it might be the 12th year we're doing LibraryCon. Yes, it says it right there. Welcome to our 12th LibraryCon. I just need to read. So this is an annual event that couldn't happen without support from the Friends of the Library, of course, who support most of our programs, and just the community in large because it's grown in size a lot over the years. Last year was a little bit smaller than normal, but I think this year it's going to be bigger in size. They've got a lot of vendors over there that are scheduled to come sell things that are related to comics. LibraryCon is a pun on the word, it's not a pun, but it's another way of saying Comic-Con, but a Comic-Con that happens in a library, LibraryCon. So a Comic-Con is an event where you wear costumes called cosplay, you talk about comics and things that are pop culture. I don't know what they have, like costume contests. You're a conner, aren't you?
Comics,
Movies,
games,
video games, yep.
and then they'll sell the comics and they have people dress up as the characters.
Yeah. So it's a lot of fun. A lot of fun. So this year they're going to have, sorry, I keep asking you for input here, Anthony.
I knew we'd get you to talk one way.
I know. Oh, I know he dresses up, so that's why I asked. He had the best Halloween costume this past year as Hagrid from Harry Potter, yeah. So the theme is Step into the Timelines of Imagination at LibraryCon. Get ready for a day where past, present, and future collide. This year's theme explores the mysteries of time, whether you're traveling back in time, stuck in a time loop, or leaping into the future. You're going to be able to meet Cinderella and Fairy Godmother if you come this next Saturday. They're going to have Glow Bingo, which I know Cheryl Bigelow got to do in the past. So much fun. They're going to have a cosplay runway. Tomorrow, there's a cosplay workshop at the library where you can get help making a costume in our makerspace with our specialist, Chris. There's going to be vendors, food trucks, all that fun stuff. So it's always a fun day. It's from 10 to 2 next Saturday. So we look forward to seeing everybody in their costumes.
Now, do notices go out to the schools, or how?
Normally, bigger programs like this, we put a marketing piece into Peach Jar, which is their digital marketing for the schools. We have a partnership, a collaboration with the schools where we can submit things to their Peach Jar. So I'm sure Stephanie did. Yeah, this is her baby. She's been doing it for 12 years, so. And then for the strategic plan, I've been talking about this for a few months, that this was coming up, and we have started getting it underway. A strategic plan is basically just a way for us to gather information from our community to inform the way that we want to move forward with our library operations, services, resources, and materials. Normally, a strategic plan can last anywhere from a couple months to up to 6 months to a year. We plan to start ours in July, right along with the fiscal year, so it kind of makes sense to us to do it that way. But it does take several months to gather all the information. And we're currently, we have a patron survey that's out right now. We have almost 400 responses, so that is the goal that we're going to be reaching toward. We have surveys with our staff so they can tell us anonymously things that they would like to see different, or ideas they have for the library, because they're the ones, working the front line. They're the ones that can tell you such and such a collection needs to be overhauled or it needs to be moved somewhere else. It could be small things like that, or it could be bigger things like, we need to create an addition to the building or something of that sort. So we take all of those responses, all that data, and then we have some focus groups with the community and try to get down to the nitty-gritty of some specific things that over the next 3 years we can specifically work on to get us to that next level. So it's a long process, but it's really important, especially as libraries are changing so much over these years, as digital is starting to take a bigger presence over the physical materials. People want different spaces in the library. So we want to give them what they're wanting, and it's really exciting, but it is a long process. So we have just started, and hopefully by July we will be able to tell you what our goals and objectives and our strategies are going to be for the next 3 years to move us forward. There it goes. Sancy did that.
I like
Very
it.
good.
I like it.
Very nice.
Okay, that's the end of the librarian's report.
Okay. Thank you, Pam. Now we're down to old business. Is there any old business?
Not tonight.
And we're on I, new business. And discussion and possible vote on updates to the request for inclusion, review of library materials complaint procedure. And that would be Pam, correct?
Yes, thank you, Judy. One of our procedures that has not been updated in quite a number of years, I'm not even sure if it was ever updated from the beginning of the library. If it had, it's been a long time, and it's one that's really important in today's society, and it's our reconsideration of materials procedure. So this is a procedure where a person or an organization or a group can question materials that are in the library for whatever reason, they have to question or challenge the material. So it's important for a library to have a very clear process and a timeline for how we will accept those requests, how we review those challenges, and then if the person isn't happy with the decision that's made, how it goes through an appeals process. Of course, every library wants to uphold the principles of intellectual freedom, so we have that mentioned in this procedure, that we encourage everyone to look at the American Library Association Bill of Rights, our Freedom to Read statement, and the library's material selection policy, because those all inform what we have in our library collections now and in the future. So if you got to look at the old procedure, it starts with the word complaint procedures, which didn't really like that wording, complaint procedures. And over the years, it's changed a lot of times to the way it wants to be presented. Reconsideration of materials is now the most current way to talk about that kind of procedure. So usually there's a procedure such as this, and then after it will follow a form. The form that was in the past that we want to update has a lot of questions on it, and a lot of people might not even get through the form because it asks so much information that we thought it was kind of just challenging to complete the form. It's asking, how did you hear about the material? What are your concerns? And those are normal. But then it gets into, is there anything worthwhile in this material? It's kind of like doing a book report. What value and harm do you feel might be the result of reading? It gets really, really specific, which isn't normal in these days and times for a reconsideration form. And if you look at what we're considering to have as a new procedure, the intro to the form is a lot longer, really describing the process in more detail, because we want to be consistent, we want to be fair, and treat all of the considerations that we might receive in the same manner. So it gives a very clear timeline on who is going to be looking at the form, if it's collected from the patron, why we have certain things in the collection that people might disagree with, talking about parents and legal guardians are responsible for selecting and reading materials before their kids do. And if they read something that they don't feel is appropriate, well, we're a public library, we serve ages 0 to 100 and not just the ages of your children. So it kind of talks about that. Just a lot of things that some people don't necessarily think about before they might get upset with something that they would find in a library. And then it goes farther into talking about the very specific number of days it would take us to review it, who would review it, and then if it is appealed, how it would become before the library board. And the questions for it are a little bit more general and not quite accusatory, is kind of the way I kind of felt the last form sounded. So I encourage any comments or questions you have about this policy. It's actually a procedure. It's something that every public library system has to have, and over the last few years, a lot of libraries have been updating theirs because there's been more attacks against material in libraries with the current climate. And so it's really important to have a really strong and concise policy that can be gone through in a very timely and consistent manner. So that is why I bring that to your attention tonight.
I do have a question. The one that says request for inclusion is the old form, right?
Correct.
And,
Yes,
and the reconsideration of materials is a new form.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the complaint procedure, this is not handed out or anything, because it still refers to the request for inclusion.
Yes, yeah, these two go together.
Okay,
So
so-
this is the beginning of the request for
Okay, so
inclusion.
those are gone.
Yep.
And now we have, is the reconsideration of materials. Yeah.
That's what
good,
we're-
that's
yeah.
good. I like both of the new ones very much.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
We looked at the professional library staff, the librarians, they did the majority of this in my direction. I wanted them to really look at a lot of different library systems to see what they're doing, especially ones that have currently gone through perhaps a challenge, because they'll best know what needs to be in the form so that it can be dealt with in a timely and active manner.
So when this one says request for inclusion, that said to me that it's something that wasn't already there.
I know, I didn't really
And-
understand that
yeah.
terminology myself, to
Yeah,
tell you the
and
honest
so I
truth,
thought
which
I-
was another reason to
I thought
kind
I
of
was missing
update the
something.
wording. Yeah, so, like in school, I worked in school libraries for 15 years, and we had a form, but it was called a challenge form, and a lot of people refer to it as a challenge, a book challenge, but reconsideration of materials is
Much,
the nicer and more formal and polite
Yeah.
and current day way to say that you want a specific item to be looked at more closely for whatever reason.
I
really
really
good.
like the fact that you retained a couple of the questions from the old form. Like, did you read it?
Exactly.
I mean, you know, and the review thing, have you read other reviews of this material and be specific about it? I really appreciate that, because I was afraid that some of that would get cut. And
Okay.
if people are going to complain about a specific piece of literature, then they darn well should have read the whole thing and know specifically what is it that you have a problem with here, and have you read any other materials about this? I think those are three really important things to include, so thank you. I was afraid you would.
well
take
done.
those out.
I will pass that on to the staff.
I have a question. The question that says, what do you find objectionable about the material? Please cite specific passages or scenes and their relationship to the work. Could you explain that a little further?
Well, sometimes people will challenge or complain about a piece of literature because of like a specific paragraph or a specific scene, like a dialogue. So we would want to know, is that the only thing that you're objecting, is just that specific passage, or is it, or that scene, or is it more the whole work in general? And I think that question kind of makes them realize that if you need to look at the whole thing, the whole piece of literature as a whole, and not just as that specific part of the story.
But if you have to ask the question, what do you find objectionable about the material? That just says, what is it about this that you did not?
Yeah, like it has a curse word, or it,
But the second part of that assumes that there's
Something wrong.
specific passages that they object to, and that might not be true.
okay. So it could be changed to say, please cite specific passages or
If-
scenes.
There
If-
were specific passages that
If
you
applicable.
objected to, please cite them.
Okay,
Something like that. Because otherwise, to me, it assumes that it wasn't the whole work.
Okay.
It was part of it.
okay, we can make that more clear. I can see
Am
where
I
that is.
wrong?
I read through it and assumed that it meant what they meant it to mean, but I can
maybe
understand
it's
your
just my
point. I see your
interpretation.
point.
So how
Yeah.
about, please cite specific passages or scenes, comma, if applicable, comma, and their relationship with the work? Or do you want it in a different?
I don't know, I'd have if you ask the question, what do you find objectionable about the material?
Well, we just don't want them to say,
I just don't like it.
yeah, they mention, I don't know, I'm trying to think of something.
Or the author, they would say that they don't like the author.
Yeah, I don't,
Ask them to be specific. But citing passages is not, that's assuming that's the part that you were objecting to, just that.
we just don't want them to come back and say,
It was too graphic, or it was.
yeah, it was too graphic.
Or
Well,
it was-
we want to know specifically what part of the book, like what page was it? What was the scene?
You could
Instead of them-
just say, please be specific about what it is you find objectionable, but you still wouldn't get the specificity you're looking for. You would still get generalities.
Yeah, I mean, and there could
You
be,
could say, please be specific, which is narrowing the field down, that there was something about the material you didn't like. Please be
yeah, not Pacific, specific.
We're not going to swim.
Please cite, or no, please be specific about your objection. If there are specific passages or scenes that you object to, please cite them. Does that make sense?
I think you're actually saying exactly the same thing that's down here.
Okay,
I really do.
then I withdraw my suggestion.
Does anybody else kind of see it the way Vera's seen it,
I didn't.
or do you have another way to say it that everybody would agree on?
I think it's fine.
If I had a ninth grade education, I wouldn't get it.
Okay, I can understand that.
I mean, there are people that don't have college degrees that are gonna read this.
Okay, so
You
if
might
a
add
person, if you're
page
saying,
number.
if you're saying, what do you find objectionable about the material? And this person has read this book, or say they have, and they found that the little kid in the book cussed.
Okay.
And that's what they found objectionable. How do you ask them to show you that part so that you know what it is they're objecting to? And I think that's what this is trying to get to. So how do you say it other than the way it's already
I think
stated?
it's-
How
yeah,
can
I
you
think it's
narrow
fine.
it?
Is it because of the word cite or passages? Do you think, do the words need to be changed? Like,
Cite isn't,
Just list, replace
Just
cite
please
with
be
list.
specific.
please list specific
you're writing this
sentence.
for the general public.
That's very true.
Who has a sixth grade education in general?
Right.
Right, I see where you're
Please
going
list
with that.
specific
Please be
sentences or pages or,
Pages would probably work. They can do pages. We can all do pages. And so if they said page 192
paragraph 2.
and explain, how about cite or tell us the specific page and explain, or something similar.
okay, so what do you find objectionable about the material? Please list specific pages.
Please include would be a better.
Yes.
word
Include,
than
okay.
cite.
Please include
Yeah.
specific pages.
That's a good one.
Okay.
I'm going from National Park Service writing, and everything had to be written at an 8th grade level.
I mean,
if
it's a
you're
good
gonna do
point.
it for the general public, and cite, I don't think works, but.
Do you think pages is specific enough, or do they need to write out complete sentences that they object to, or,
I think pages would be easier.
okay.
If I read that, there's no way I'm gonna write a whole page.
I just don't want it to be like a huge page, and when I read it, and I'm like, okay, there's like 3 things in there that they could be objecting to, I don't know which
Yeah.
one it is.
Which one it is.
So how do we narrow it down?
No, I don't know. I think I've,
This page and Or in paragraph? Or
Well, that's what's in there
page?
now is passages. They don't like
But no,
passages.
reworded it like that.
What specific
Or you
passage?
could just leave it as it is and try it and see if anyone has trouble with it. You might put at the bottom, please contact someone at the library if you have difficulty filling out this form. That sounds a little bad.
You could just use the word list instead of cite.
Well, she likes include. I don't,
Or
I'm,
include
include
instead of cite,
specific
and
passages.
leave the rest as it is.
please, do you think passages is too big of a word, Vera?
No,
It's
I
a fifth
think
grade
what-
spelling word.
it's, what am I trying to say? You're trying to get them to,
Think?
if you include specific passages or scenes, now see, I don't think they know a lot of people would not know the difference and their relationship to the work. Now that's asking for a conclusion,
I could see taking out the relationship.
Yeah.
Because they're probably, I think what this is asking is for them to probably, for the
Tell
first
you
time,
what-
think about what the relationship is,
Think.
and then they'll realize, oh, well, it really doesn't have anything
It's the
to do
awful
with
T word.
the overall. So, okay, so what about, please
Include,
include specific passages and leave out scenes?
Please include as much detail as possible.
There you go.
There,
That'll get it.
that opens it up again a little.
How about please include specific pages and include as much detail as possible?
I don't think they're gonna go through the book and find pages, but who knows? Maybe they will if they're
Well,
sincere enough.
the
Now,
problem
why are they
is, Vera,
complaining?
if they're gonna
Why would
object to a book,
Right.
if they're gonna go to
There's
that
specific
trouble,
reason.
then there's something that set them off. Whether their kid said, Mom, this happened, or a friend said, did you let your child read that book? Didn't you know that? You know, there's gonna be something specific. It's not gonna be a generality unless they just don't like Judy Blume or
Or
whoever.
or the Scarlet Letter. Or-
You know, but that's something that you've already
Right.
taken care of.
And I guess
We-
the problem with pages too is that depending on if it's paperback or hardcover, the
Right,
pages
it
could
may be
differ.
Two
Or
different,
digital.
yeah.
Might not even
Yeah, I
know.
mean, they could object to the ideas presented. Well, that's gonna be hard to quote.
Right.
But they could explain what those ideas were that they didn't like.
Then you could just say, please explain.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you
Just
find objectionable about the material?
Please
Please.
explain.
Explain.
Please
In detail.
explain.
Okay, please explain in detail. I'm happy with that.
That's about as,
Please be specific about your objection to the material.
I think please
And that's-
explain covers that.
Is that good? Please explain in detail, or do you want also the word specific in there?
No, that's good.
Please explain
Okay.
is a pretty good
Please
essay
explain
question.
takes it
Period.
down to a very,
Okay,
forget it.
thank you for
But
that.
I also, defer to your judgment, because you know more about this than I do.
Well, that actually though brought up a really good point about you got to think of your audience, and for them to fill out a form like this,
True.
it would be best to make it layman's terms and not library terms or literature terms or whatever. So, no,
Okay.
that was good.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Did anybody else have ideas, questions?
I think the first page was actually beautifully written.
I cannot take credit for that.
Or whoever.
It was a joint effort, all of the librarians.
Marvelous. Very explanatory, very easy to read. and
Good.
Easy to determine what it was you wanted.
Very explicit.
And I'm hoping it's going to make it's a night and day difference from the first one, from
It
from
is.
the original.
Yeah.
Have you had many complaint, people that have used that original old form?
Not since I've been director, no.
I don't recall it ever being used.
I think it's been used a couple times, but I don't have any documentation of that.
You'd probably see the objection in the newspaper.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Do we want
Okay,
to
is
vote on this?
Yes, this one would need
Request
to be voted on.
With changes, with the changes?
So I would move that we accept the corrected or enhanced version of the reconsideration of materials procedures to replace the complaint procedures in the
I second that.
policies and procedures.
Okay, and so roll call?
Robin Barker,
Yes.
Cheryl Bigelow is absent, Judy Bory,
Yes.
Barbara Fitzgerald,
Yes.
Catherine Meek,
Yes.
Nola Perkins,
Yes.
and Vera Walters.
Yes,
And the motion passes.
thank you.
Okay, and requests for future agenda items. And do we have any future agenda items to add? How about the garden? Maybe something on the garden?
Yes, I was hoping to include some information about that tonight, but I didn't have anything new to share, but I definitely will at the next meeting.
Excellent.
Is there anything else?
Who did the survey about the garden go out to?
At this point, it was just with staff and with the library board. It did not go out to the public at this point, because we definitely wanted to get our ideas in there. Plus, being people that work at the library, we kind of know what we want to do with it and what we think our patrons are going to want to do in it. But I do want to get some feedback from the public. It's just not to that stage yet.
This hasn't gone out on the Survey Monkey yet?
Which one is that?
The Library Vision Survey, is that gone out?
So what we did is, some staff did theirs individually, but I also collected all of the staff's input, and then I submitted a survey on behalf of all of the staff for everybody at the library. But then I sent it to you guys if you had anything particular as a board member that you thought should be included. And I also talked to our master gardener in depth about the gardening part of it, about specific things that would need to be out there for it to actually work, including that in my responses. But at this point, we submitted all of that to the landscape architect, but they haven't made their brief yet from it, so we're waiting on that.
I had one question, which is probably a stupid question, but it says public access only from the inside of the library during open hours.
Yeah, we don't want the garden to be
Open to the,
open to, yeah, we don't want it to
At
be
all,
open
yeah.
all the time, and we want it to be controlled through our building.
Yeah, from inside.
Yep.
And weren't there 2 surveys that we filled out lately? One was a general library.
That's for the strategic
Usage.
plan.
Okay.
Yep, and then the garden one was specifically for the garden. So yeah, you've had 2 surveys, if you did the patron one. Did we send you the patron one?
I got it. I don't know how. I had trouble getting it to send.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh.
I would click complete or submit, and it would go back to the beginning. So I'd fill it all again.
Oh, I'm
hit
sorry.
submit,
Oh,
go
that's
back.
awful.
But
Because
then
there was a
when I
lot of
got-
questions.
When I got back from Chiapas, I went on and filled it out, and it went in.
Oh, wow.
I didn't see it
It was a
either.
good deal.
Yeah, I should have sent it out personally to all of you to take the patron survey. If you would, we would definitely like to have your feedback. You can either come to the library and get a paper copy and take it, or it is on the first page of our website.
Wasn't it on the city You know, the AJ thing that they send out,
Oh,
the
the
council?
weekly
or
update?
this-
didn't
don't
see
think
it
so.
on that.
You know,
I don't think so.
I don't know.
I may have
where
missed
got
it.
It came to my email.
Oh, it was in our library newsletter.
Oh,
That's where you saw it.
okay.
Yeah, if you subscribe to the library newsletter, it was the first thing on the newsletter. The one that goes out bi-weekly, the one Megan Carbiner makes. It's about programs and just events going out the library and,
Oh, it's a good survey.
And you need to
Good,
sign up
thanks.
for that, Pam? The
Yes.
newsletter?
I thought I did.
you should get it bi-weekly in your email. It's an email newsletter.
Okay.
Boy, we're just learning all sorts of
Yeah,
stuff
we
tonight,
are.
aren't we? We have too many surveys, too many words.
Oh, my goodness.
I will make sure, Sancy, on Monday, can we make sure we send the survey to everybody? We'll send you a link to the survey on Monday.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thanks.
We appreciate that. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Is there anything else to
You're
add
welcome.
to the new business or request
Future
for
agenda
future
items?
Future agenda items.
I have garden update. Anything else?
When will we get notice of the status of all of the surveys? As you get
Yes, yep.
that one too.
Update on,
A
sure.
little bit of an update, even though I know we won't be finished, but
Oh, I know.
is there anything else then? Then I will adjourn the meeting and